Hello, everyone. It's nearly spring and I'm coming out of hibernation. And so I'm starting Friday Visibility Challenge, the Friday Visibility Challenge again. I hope you'll join me on this exciting journey of visibility. And I hope you've all had a good week. And today's been an exciting day for me because we did the webinar with the Royal Society of Arts Coaching Network. Kathy Presland and me hosting Michael Neill. And Michael Neill's a very successful coach. He's lived in the UK and the US and written a book called SuperCoach and another one called Inside Out Revolution. And he is... one of his things is creating the impossible. And creating the impossible is, what is it? It's this idea that, it taps into several things. One of them is that, of course, things you haven't created yet might seem impossible. You know, like Nelson Mandela said, it's impossible until it's done. Until it's out there, well, it's not possible. In terms of probabilities, it might be possible, but it hasn't happened yet. There's another theme in that we all have blind spots. Our thinking is set in a certain way. We have certain beliefs and assumptions, and those will determine what we think is possible, if not what we think is probable. So, creating the impossible involves going beyond your limited thinking. And that can be quite scary because most of us rely on our thinking to tell us what to do. In creating the impossible, this of course is my interpretation. Michael Neill might have a completely different idea, but I tried to learn from him today. Creating the impossible requires that you step out of your logical thinking because most likely your logical thinking is limited by your assumptions. So you may not think it's possible for you to change job or set up a business or start a new relationship for various reasons, but more likely than not, it is entirely possible. Why would it not be possible for you? It's possible for other human beings. And so it's possible for you. Hello, Kathy. Are you here? It says Kathy President is watching. Bring them on camera. Do you want me to bring you on camera? I guess that's a no. Facebook, evolving by the second. All right, so I wanted to share a few insights from creating the impossible. Number one, Michael took us in with this idea that as coaches, at least, when people come to us, they what they want, what they think they want, is not necessarily what they really, really want. So people, you might have an idea as to, well, I think I want a new job, or I want, more money, something like that. And so I'm coming to you as a coach because I want a new job, or I want more money, or I want a new relationship. But a good coach will try and go deeper and ask you, well, they might not ask you directly, actually. They might try and find out by magical coaching means what's underneath that desire or that goal that you say you want. Just in a very simple manner, what that person wants, it might be, I want more security. I want more safety. I want more connection, because I don't feel I have enough of that. And then externally, what that looks like, because of how we're conditioned culturally, is, that means I want more money or I want a relationship. But if you go deeper and you say, I want more connection, then that opens up a whole realm of possibilities, because you can experience more connection in 1,000,001 different ways. It doesn't have to be through a romantic relationship with a specific type of person, for example. If you think money is going to bring you safety and security, well, that's an assumption. There are a variety of ways you can experience more safety and security, right? Hello, Sarah. How are you? I don't know who's watching. I don't think anybody's watching, but if you're watching, send me a message so I know you're there. What else? So that was the first insight. What we think we want isn't necessarily what we really want. So it's important to bear that in mind so you don't get stuck on a thing. Hi, Vasily. Similarly, and I had a couple of conversations with people who were interested in working with me today. Amazing women. I don't like to give too much detail about who that is because I like to have confidentiality around my work. Is that what you think is the problem may not be the real problem. And that's where someone like a coach can help you, because by shifting perspective, then what you thought was a problem may suddenly disappear. And suddenly you realize there's another thing that's really holding you back. And that's the thing you need to go and do, or the thing that you need to look at in yourself to change your assumptions about it. If there are any coaches on here and you agree or disagree, I'd love to hear your views. If you are not a coach, then I'd love to hear your comments. But yeah, so insight number one from Michael Neill: what people say they want is not necessarily what they want. And then an extrapolation from me is what I or you or anybody might think is the problem is not necessarily the problem. Hello, Hubert. Right. Number two, creating the impossible. So there was this great moment where Michael says, you know what, you don't actually need anything to create something in your life, because you're starting with a blank canvas. All you need is the canvas and your imagination. So saying, oh, I don't have enough time, I don't have enough money, I don't have enough this, is that really the problem? Or are you afraid of starting the creation process? Because the creation process commits you to something. You're going to put energy into that creation process. And yes, that commits your resources in time and energy. And I don't know about money. There's always a way around material things. But yes, you do have to put your life energy into it. So that can be quite scary. We're all afraid of dying. And putting life energy into something means you can't put it into something else. And so there's the survival mechanism that kicks in and says, well, is that the right thing to do? And does that mean I die faster? Philosophical issues we don't need to go into right now. But yeah, you don't need as much as your ego is telling you might need to start creating something new in your life, whether it's a relationship or a job or whatever. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. Start the creative process. You don't need as much as your ego is telling you to actually start the creative process. Insight number 3. I'm going to read it here. It's, you don't need to know how, you just need to know next. So doers, Westerners, people who rely on the product of the Renaissance and the Enlightenment, which is rational thought, which is great, by the way, but anything used and abused, it can become a problem. So we tend to think of how. How do I do the thing? Okay, let's say I've identified what I want. How do I get it? And then we can get stuck in that, because the mind starts to say, well, this person did it this way, and they have all these things, and I have the network, and they have the resources, and they have the that, and they have all these degrees, and blah, 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 blah. So how am I gonna do it? And again, it comes back to you don't need as much as you think you need. The thinking is tripping you up. The inspiration is trying to take you in a certain direction, but the thinking is tripping you up. So a more powerful question than how do I do it is, what's my next step? What if I allow myself to entertain this possibility, if I allow myself to say, maybe this thing that seems impossible is possible, what would I do next? It's like Tony Robbins says, okay, I know you don't know what you want. I know you think you can't do it, but imagine, let's say you think you can do it. Let's say it is possible. what would you do? What do you already have access to that can support you? Hi, Adil. What do you have available to you already that you can use as a resource to invest in this creative project, in this thing that you want to create in your life? And so that's a much more powerful way to think than how do I do it, which implies it's kind of this nebulous thing and it's very vague. And it's really just a panic reaction to, oh my God, my life's about to change. Like, oh, but I can't because I don't have everything I need. No, it's fine. Just take a first step. Hey, Aparna. Hi, Adil. Thanks for saying hello. It's like when you're talking to a screen, it's quite unnerving. So it's great to have comments. Thank you. All right. So insight number 4. Trust your inner knowing. Inner knowing. What is inner knowing? I don't know if anybody really knows. I've read a lot about the topic around intuition, and it gets mixed up with instinct, so gut feeling, emotions, and they're not the same thing. Emotions are great. They're like an evolutionary shortcut to know what will get you away from pain or move you towards pleasure. But the assumption underneath that is a very mammalian one, which is life is about avoiding pain and gaining pleasure. But as human beings, we've evolved past that to say, wow, I'm willing to sacrifice my well-being for the sake of this higher ideal. We have imagination. We can imagine what doesn't exist and create. And that's what's really exciting, in my humble opinion, about being a human being. And so inner knowing, it's a higher cognitive function. It's not the same as instinct, which is more about survival. And your instinct can tell you that for you, this thing is dangerous. But if you change the way you think about yourself, then that thing may no longer be dangerous. For example, if you had a teacher who used to wear red jackets all the time, and you're in a meeting and someone who's supposed to chair the meeting shows up and they're wearing a very similar red jacket, you might have a gut feeling that, oh my God, I hate that person. I don't know why, but I just hate them. And so that's an inbuilt, it's a programming for you that says, oh, beware of that person. But in the absolute, they're just a person. They're probably not going to hurt you, this particular person. And that's where your intuition can be more useful. And as I said, I looked at the research. I don't think it's very clear what intuition is. It's Danny Kahneman, the Nobel Prize laureate, who wrote about fast and slow systems. And it's kind of interesting, but I don't think it's the full answer. The way I think about it, again, this is just my opinion, based on my research and understanding, is that when you're able to, when you have emotional intelligence and you can integrate your embodied experience, like how you are sensing the world at one particular point, with your rational thinking that can reason through things, then it somehow works together to integrate a lot more information from your subconscious, i.e. what your memories and what's been passed down. Who knows how the brain has been made up? It's made up of millions of years of evolution. But somehow when the system is working well together, you suddenly have a felt sense that this is the next thing. And it doesn't even have to be verbalized necessarily. So it doesn't have to be a linguistic thought. Hey, Colin. It doesn't have to be a linguistic thought. It's a knowing. It's like you kind of know that you should go in this direction or you should avoid that thing. And then you may have the thought, yeah, but it's a post hoc rationalization. It's like, yeah, I'm not going to go down that street because it's dark, for example. But before that thought, you had a knowing that don't go there. And I realize this may sound like an instinct because we don't like dark places. We feel they're dangerous. But I'm meaning it in a different sense. It might be something to do with something more complex, like should you take this job or not? And you just have a felt sense that no. Or a felt sense that yes. There's a book called, is it Hell Yes? Someone wrote a book about clear yes versus clear no. And this is what I plan to talk about in my leader circle, by the way, boundaries. Clear yes versus clear no. So you honor your intuition when it says no, do not take on that project. You say, no, I'm not taking on that project. No, I'm kind of busy and okay, yeah, I'll do the project. No, don't do that. Okay, so that was insight number 4, trust your inner knowing. One more thing I want to say about inner knowing. It sounds like this absolute thing, like inner knowing. Oh, what's your inner knowing saying? Oh, what's my inner knowing? Where is it? Inner knowing needs to be cultivated, or rather it needs to be released through a better understanding of our emotions and our thoughts, and work to integrate them so that then emotions and thoughts aren't tripping us up through false assumptions. I think this is a long topic, so I'll probably do a special visibility challenge on inner knowing. But that's the point of wisdom traditions or spiritual paths, that you evolve. You're part of evolution, and as a human being alive for your particular lifetime, you are participating in the universe's, whatever the universe is doing. For whatever reason we came here, something's happening and we're part of it, and you're just playing your part. And who knows what's going to happen next. But if you don't play your part, things can get a bit difficult and painful and annoying. So play your part in evolution and release your inner knowing. Do your inner work to release your inner knowing. All right, so I think I have one final insight. I think I wrote it down. Yes, creative cycles. So in an industrial society, post-Newtonian, Newton, Descartes, they all kind of made it sound like we're a little bit like everything's mechanical. There's a logical path from A to B. If we just work out what it is, then we can get what we want. And we can control our environment and the universe and nature. But that's not how it is. As human beings, we're much closer to seasonal cycles. And there's a lot of interesting research in neuroscience. And there's also attachment theory, which has been really crucial in understanding relationships, for example. And our own well-being as adults, which is to do with being able to go out there and explore and do stuff and create and then come back to a safe base. In childhood, it's the mother who essentially, that whole situation where you're relating to your mother is modeling what the universe is about and how to live. So creative cycles are very much about, okay, I have a vision, I go and take action, and then I have to rest and wait as well to receive the result before starting a new creative cycle. But if you're just going all the time, busy, it's ineffective. Most people find that after a while that's ineffective. It's okay if you're in a factory or if you work in an organization that expects you to work like a machine. But a healthy way of being a human being involves tuning into creative cycles. So a question for you is, well, where are you in the creative cycle right now? Are you in a phase where you're kind of tuning into what your vision might be for the next thing? It might be in an area of your life, or it might be you want to rejig your whole life, which often happens in 30s and 40s. Because you realize you're free, you're an adult, life is finite, it's time to just go for it and do what you're here to do. So are you in the phase of visioning, where you're trying to tune into something, to what it might look like, and maybe you just take the next step? Maybe you don't know exactly what it looks like, the full picture, but you just take the next step. Are you in the phase of implementing? So you've got the vision and now you need to knuckle down and take some action, get some feedback and keep taking action until you find the perfect sort of path for that particular project or creation. Are you in a phase of waiting to receive the results and accepting what's coming back to you and the rewards as well? How many times do you actually celebrate your achievements properly and acknowledge yourself for what you've done? Most of us just brush compliments under the carpet and go, yeah, well, it was easy. And anyway, I didn't really do it that well. No, celebrate the harvest. Or are you in a rest phase where you need to just go quiescent for a while and just enjoy being, the fact that you're alive and you've been given the opportunity to come and be alive on this earth? Woo! So where are you? Phase 1, 2, or 3, or 4? Which season? Yeah, I think that's all. Different types of impossible. Get stuck in. I love that. Get stuck in. So if you have your vision, you know roughly where you want to go. Stop asking how. Get stuck in. Just try something. What's my next step? And with that, I'm going to wish you a wonderful weekend. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for anybody who said hello. I think that was just a deal. Thanks, a deal. Might see you tomorrow at fencing or after. Yeah. Deep breath in. All is well. And I will see you soon. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.